Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Welcome to your Saheli chat show. I'm Jas Saikon, your host. And can you believe we're halfway through 2020? I don't know where this year's gone, but we're halfway through it. And with the COVID situation, so much uncertainty. And one thing that this has taught me, the COVID phase, is that life is so short and you just don't know what's around the corner. So many people have lost loved ones and people are grieving, people are uncertain about their job situations, and it's just such a challenging time. And this is the reason why at your Saheli Chat Show, we've started to now share real life journeys because you get so much solace from sharing other people's journeys and listening to other people's experiences. With me, I have two ladies. I have Gurjit Rana, who is a relationship coach. Hello, Gurjit. Sat Sri Akal. And I have Sandie Basra, who is a makeup artist. And this is part two of our journey with Sandie Basra and Gurjit Rana and their personal journeys, really. So, Sandie, when you like your marriage was almost over and you knew, what was the signal that kind of gave you that final, the final decision you made to say this is over, it's not working? Was it when you were told you can't eat XYZ, and then you was obviously pregnant at the time and you felt for your baby, unborn child, thinking if they're saying this to me, how's this going to impact on my child going forward? Was that the signal, or was there another
Yeah,
signal?
no, it definitely was. It was that. Like, obviously, from the previous episode, I explained exactly why my marriage broke down. And I think when I hit 4 months pregnant and nothing was changing, to me, it was like, well, I can't eat what I want to eat. I can't dress the way I want to dress. I can't even go and see my own mum and dad. I can't drive a car. I can't literally do anything unless before I ask permission, until I ask anybody for permission. So
Yes,
how am I possibly going to be a good mother to this child? How am I ever going to be able to give my child anything it wants? From
absolutely.
the simple things in life. I wouldn't even be allowed to probably feed my child what my child wants to eat before I haven't
Yeah,
asked permission from my mother-in-law, father-in-law, grandma, then my husband.
yeah,
You
absolutely.
know,
And you were with them only 4 months at this time, and four
yeah,
months.
so I was married for 6 months and I was 4 months pregnant.
Okay.
Yeah, so to me it was like, well, as a grown adult, if I'm not allowed to make my own decisions, how am I ever going to be able to make decisions for my child?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and everything went through my mother and father-in-law. So it was that anything I ever wanted to do for my child, even to the smallest things of what I wanted to feed my child, would have to be authorized by them before I can make a final decision. And
Yes.
I think because of everything that was going on around me, obviously I dealt with it for 6 months. Now when I look back at it, I think, how did I even do those 6 months? But I think when I was pregnant, it wasn't about me anymore. It was about my
No,
baby. And
exactly.
I
And
think,
then,
yeah, and I
see,
think
this is
as a
as
woman,
women.
that's what made
Yes.
me stronger.
Yes.
It made me stronger because it was like, okay, it's not about me. Because when things happen to us, we kind of brush it under the carpet. We say, "Chal ho, theek hai, things will
Yes.
get better in time. Give it time." But then when there's your child involved, I think that's when it makes you stronger because you then think, okay, you know what? I need to decide now. I need to do something because it's
Yes.
now or never. If I don't make this change now, I'm never going to be able to make a change in my life.
Exactly. We as mothers, ਆਪਾਂ ਕੁਛ ਵੀ ਬਰਦਾਸ਼ਤ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ, we as women. But once
Yeah,
we're mothers, ਆਪਣੇ ਨਿਆਣੇ ਦੀ ਤਕਲੀਫ, that's one thing we will not, we
we
can't
can't
tolerate.
handle.
No, we
Yeah,
can't handle it. And we won't, because it's only the mother that recognizes these issues and she has to do
definitely.
something
Yeah.
about it. Totally get it. And in Gurjit's situation, you didn't have any children. So what was the signal for you, Gurjit?
I think it was similar to what Sandy's just touched on, that funny enough, it was a 6 month period. And I'd given that in my mind. I don't think I said it out aloud to anybody, but I gave it in my heart of going, I need to shift what was going on around me. And all that was
Yeah.
happening was every day and every month it was getting harder and tougher and tougher.
Mhm.
And like Sandy said, when you can't turn to anyone, that's not within your family, or you can't relate to anybody else that understands what you're going through. And that's the hardest thing. So everyone can give advice on the outside, but until they step into the shoes and go through it how you're going through it. Nobody gets it. So I was very fortunate that as time was moving on, I was getting closer to this timeline that I'd given myself. Things just naturally were starting to come to surface. I didn't have to share it with anyone. I didn't have to tell anyone. It was just becoming more and more obvious. And in my
Yes.
heart, I was just getting liberated once I'd made a choice. And the choice that I made was one decision. It was, say, decision, one question, which is, can I carry on like this for the next 30 years? And when I asked myself that one profound question, can I carry on the way I am? I was like, no. Right, what can I change? What can I transform? I had a heart to heart with my ex husband at the time, and I couldn't see another way forward. And a lot of it was my control, ego, my way of wanting things as well. We're all stubborn as each other, right?
Absolutely.
And they can't show you a different way. You end up having to make a choice for your life. You end up making a
Yeah.
choice that's centered around you, and you think, if I'm not happy, I'm not making this person happy, and I'm making everybody else around me unhappy. Why am I here?
Yes, and it all
And that was
starts
it.
within yourself.
That was my
You're not
choice.
growing, you're not happy, you're not evolving. So it's wrong to stay in a relationship, isn't it, when it's not kind of working how it should be? Also, the stress of this, it's massive, isn't it? And stress, they say, is the silent killer. We don't realize what stress is unless we go through something like this in life. Then the stress comes to
Absolutely.
surface.
Definitely. Yeah, the stress does really, I think this, like you said, the stress is the killer. You know, like nobody understands what you're going through until you don't experience the same as well. It's all good for, when I used to talk to my friends, they'd be like, oh, it doesn't matter, it's fine, things will get better. But I knew in my heart that I couldn't carry on like this, and I can't do this any longer.
Your
And
gut was
when
telling you, wasn't it? It was your
yeah,
gut
your
that
gut
was
was
telling
telling
you.
you. And you know what people are like around you in that family, in that household, that nothing's ever going to change. you know and even with when I was pregnant with my son, it was like, I need to make this choice now, otherwise it's never going to happen. It's either now or never. And when I made that decision, I came home, my parents supported me. And then even throughout my pregnancy, I remember feeling, I think it's the feelings that we're all going through right now, being in COVID, being in lockdown. You feel as
Yes,
your whole life is just flying by and you're just stuck and you're useless and you can't do anything. And that's how I was feeling back then. It was like, I'm pregnant, I
yes,
can't do anything with my
yeah,
life, my whole life has come to a stop.
yeah,
um, and I just used to feel like the whole world is whizzing by me and I'm going back in time where I'm losing out on my life.
yeah. Because
And
that
it was
was
at
just
that,
happening to you, wasn't it, at that time? Whereas the
it was just
COVID,
me. Yeah.
everybody, that was just you.
Yeah, that was how I felt at that time. But now I'm getting the same feeling being locked down in COVID, because it
Yes,
was the same thing. I was at home, I wasn't happy, and I felt like this is never gonna end. And I'm just literally not doing anything with my life. Everybody else is whizzing by me, and I'm just sat here,
yes.
hoping for the best to happen, and nothing's happening. No
Absolutely.
miracles are happening.
And
And then I think it
also,
was after when
ladies,
I had Jaden.
go on, sorry. As also with the Johnny Depp situation now, look at that. He said, she said, and a lot of the facts are not even there yet. It's just that's another thing you fear when you walk out of a relationship or a marriage, what everybody else is going to say, because
Yeah.
that adds
I
to
think
it,
that's the
doesn't it?
sad truth of our community, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's the community we've been brought up in, and we know as soon as we make a decision, or the moment the word divorce is mentioned, it's frowned upon. Everybody sees
yes.
you in a different way, or people start talking about you.
Yeah, they
Um,
label you Bajari, and when
yeah,
when
you're
you're
called a bachari. Yeah,
yes, a
yeah,
Bajari, and
You
then they
are.
start thinking,
But
oh, honey, like for your situation, it must have been even harder because you was pregnant, right?
yeah,
So the stress you must have had, I just can't imagine, Sandie. And also your parents obviously had to deal with it, but
yeah.
they were your strength, weren't they? Your family.
Yeah, my mum and my dad are amazing. Like, my mum and my dad were basically like, if you're not happy, if we can't trust the person that we married you
Yeah,
to, how are we going to send you back there with the baby?
yeah.
And
If
I
you,
think that was, for me, that was the best thing, because my parents literally, I think for every girl, if you know you don't have your parents supporting you, there's nowhere else for you to go.
No,
And
you
the fact that my
again, the girls
parents were there,
couldn't do it. The girls
yeah,
could not.
girls don't do it. And this is why I think it carries on for so many years. And girls are in unhappy marriages because they know they don't have that support back home.
Yes,
And because my parents supported me, and I always say this to everybody, I am only where I am today because of the support I had from
yes,
my brothers and my mum and dad. If they didn't
yes.
support me, I could have easily, I could have left him, but I could have gone off the rails. But
Exactly. You'd rather have a divorced daughter than a dead daughter. It's a big saying, isn't it? And it's so
it
true
is,
because back in the day, when the girls didn't have any support or no one was listening to them, this is what they would do. They would just commit suicide or they'd
they
just
would.
go and never to be, found again.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And and that was resulted in that because of the way parents used to think or the community thinks.
Yeah.
But in today's day and age, it still happens. There are still some families out there that think like that, who are like, that's it, tera byaah si karta hai, hun sade ghar na mud ke aayi.
That's
Regardless
it.
of how the in-laws are treating them.
Yes, because that was it. That's your house now. You've gone. We've done our duties for you, and you come
Yeah.
as a Purani and you go as a Purani.
Exactly, yeah.
That's it.
And it is, and it's sad, but because my parents supported me so much, I think that's only why I am here today, happy in life. I'm running a successful business.
You are.
And that's only happened because of the support along the way.
And you've turned the negative situation into a positive, a massive positive, and
A massive
you know you
positive, yeah.
you've got your
And even then,
son, you've got
it
your
wasn't
parents.
it wasn't easy. It's not easy coming home 4 months pregnant, giving birth at your mum and dad's house without the support of your in-laws. Nothing's ever easy. But I remember sitting there after I gave birth, and I thought, okay, my baby's here now. Now what? What do I do now? I don't have a degree. Because obviously I decided not to go to uni at that time. I'm not in a secure job. My marriage, I'm going through a divorce. I've got a newborn baby. Like, what do I do? Where do I go now? Even though I'm at home and I'm happy on a day to day, where's my life going to take me in the long run? And
This
it
is it.
was
Lots of
then,
questions.
yeah, and it was then I then decided to go back to uni full time. So
Good.
when my son was 8 weeks old, I then went back to uni full time, and I was working part time. And again, that was only because of the help of my parents, because my parents and my brother supported me. I was able to go back to uni full time. And I
Yes.
remember enrolling to uni. I was very anxious because I thought, oh my God, people are going to be so much younger than me. Everyone's finished college and then going to uni, and I'm going to be so old. Like, how am I going to fit in? And then I thought, what, I can't think like that. I need to snap out of that. I need to do this for myself, and I need to go. And I think going to uni actually um, kept me on track because, people are talking. There's so much going on. I
Yeah.
literally blocked everything out, and I just focused on me, my life, and what I need to do for myself.
You were really busy with the baby, with the
Amazing.
uni, and that's amazing. And that is why we kind of share true stories because you don't know, somebody could be listening and thinking this is it now because a lot of girls do think we're married and we do what our in-laws say and that's it because there's no going back. We don't have any choices, but you have
Exactly.
choices all the time. You've just got to see these options, right, and go for it. Take action.
Yeah, that's
That's
what
why
it's
girls.
about. Yeah, that's what it's about. We live in a big world. We're fortunate enough to be living in England. We've
Yes,
got so many opportunities around us, and it's about you shouldn't wait for those opportunities to come your way. You need to go out there and grab these opportunities.
that's it.
You
You've
need to
got
go
to
out
know
there
what
and
you
do something for yourself.
and take action and go for it. My situation was very similar. I had been married 23 years, got married at 18, and always got on with my in laws. But when my husband passed away, these people I thought were going to be in my life forever and support me and my children actually showed their true colours.
It never
So,
happens. That's when you find out what people are like. And it's a sad
absolutely,
reality of life, isn't it? It's a sad
it is
reality of life that whoever you think that you can count on, when it comes down to the crunch, that's
not
when you
there.
realize who's actually there for you and who's not.
Exactly. And all you need is a couple of people that you can count on your hand, right? One hand, you'll be fine. If you've got that, you'll be fine. And I found hanging around with my radiators was what I needed to do. Get away from the drains, people that were no longer kind of right for me. You can tell, again, your gut tells you, because
Yeah.
certain people,
Yeah.
they kind of stop talking to you because they're busy talking about you now, and you
Yeah.
get that coldness from them when you see them, and then
Yeah,
you know
definitely.
it's not right. I don't fit here anymore. Even when I was at my lowest, ladies, I always had this thing that I was going to do something big one day. It was like almost my gut telling me, "Get up, Jazz. You'll be fine. The
Yeah.
universe has a bigger plan for you. Just look after your children. Get up. You'll be fine."
You know, you're
Yeah, that's
mentioning the word universe.
100% true because, yeah, as I say, that's 100% true because often what you find is whatever's happened for a reason. You know, I was
Yes.
again fortunate enough to have the support of family to come back home, but I had additional support. Like most women will naturally, and even men will either turn to drink, fall into depression,
Yeah.
as you said, Sandy, a whole host of other things that play out. And what I kept asking myself is, okay, what difference can you now make on the world? So, like Jazz has got this platform. That's one of my things in there as well of going, right, why do I want to talk about relationships? Because when terrible things happen, like you say, that's when we realize we're
Yeah.
right?
And you.
But it's not their fault. Sometimes they don't know how to relate to you. I had a lot of friends and family that did not know how to relate to me because they were, and they saw me as broken and I began to see myself as broken. And it's only when we shift that. So I did it through a help of a coach who actually saw, me transition from going, okay, let it go, give more compassion back to the people that couldn't help you. It's not their fault. They just didn't know how to relate to you.
Yeah.
And some of them you do have to let go, like Benji said, you have to let them go. And if they're supposed to come back into your life, eventually they will.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Journey there, journey there. And you've got your own fulfillment to do, whatever, you have to do it. Or you choose to do it.
ਅੱਜ ਆਪਾਂ ਤਿੰਨੇ ਕਹੋਗੇ ਇੱਥੇ ਬੈਠੀਆਂ ਰਾਈਟ ਜੋ ਵੀ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਹੋਇਆ ਚੰਗਾ ਹੀ ਹੋਇਆ ਸਹੀ ਹੋਇਆ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਜੇ ਨਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ we wouldn't have been we wouldn't be where we are today.
Yeah.
Definitely, yeah. And in a happy place.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Look, we're well, there's kind of lots to look forward to, and also we're growing, and look, with each other we're kind of developing, we're growing, we're learning each day something new.
Most definitely.
So that's something there that divorce is a really bad thing. It's just a word. It's the first understanding. It's sort of love, it doesn't make who you are, right? And the second thing is with the same pain, the same grievance against their ex-in-laws, ex-families. How long kidney apni umar tusi nagalonge with the same anger and resentment? Na thanu sok melna, na ona nu sok melna. Right?
It's true.
So something I know I did for myself was I went and cleared my path and just let it go. It's a hard thing to do. It takes a brave person to do it, but go and do it.
Yeah, it's true. And what they say as well, until you're not happy, you can't make people around you happy. You have to be happy within yourself. And it's, I've had so many messages from our, when I put it up on Instagram to say that, I'm doing this with SIKH Channel, with SAHELI. And I've had so many women message me, telling me their stories. I'm not happy, or I'm only sticking it out for the kids. I'm only here because my parents, I'm only here because of family reputation. And my answer to them is, if you're not happy, how are you going to make your children happy? How are you going to be a good role model for your kids? How are you going to differentiate the difference between good and a bad relationship for your kids? Yes, there's some women out there that stick marriages out just for the sake of kids. But if ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਨਿਆਣਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਗਾਂ ਕੀ ਸਿਖਾਉਣਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਵਿਆਹ ਇਦਾਂ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ, or women have to live like this, just because you're a woman, you've got to put up with all of this.
Exactly. When you talk to people that have been married 30, 40 years, they say they're only together because of society. They're just worried about that side all the time.
Yeah. And even for kids' sake, I always say to people, I've pulled myself out of that. Yes, I have a boy, but I want my son to grow up and to know how to respect women, how to treat women, how to treat his wife when he gets married one day. I never wanted him to ever see me living a certain life and think it's okay to treat a woman like this.
Absolutely. And when you're
But
going through something like this, it's really important to kind of check in on you. Are you mentally strong, or are you just acting tough? Because
Mm,
a lot of the times we're trying to act tough. So it's
yeah.
important not to forget.
Yeah, definitely. And there's a lot of people out there, that I know of who put a brave face on when they're out just to say that everything's okay. But deep down, they're not happy. So, faida ki hoya by acting tough and doing all of this when deep down there's so much more that you want in life.
Exactly. And we're actually learning. Failure is okay because you learn something from it and
Yeah,
you
yeah, yeah.
bounce back. And some people think, no, failure is not an option. But then we're so hard on ourselves and we are kind of just living for the sake of just living. We're not really
Yeah,
living the life on our terms.
yeah, no, definitely. And how would you know the difference? How would you know what a good relationship is if you haven't experienced a bad? Or,
Exactly.
it's little things in life, even growing up as kids. How do we know what a good day consists of or what a good game is to play if we haven't had a bad experience by falling out with our friends to then realize who our friends really are? It's a part of growing up and it's a part of learning. We all experience certain things in life to then make us better people for today.
Definitely. Definitely. And
I think the
there's
biggest
nothing
thing,
you can't. Go on, Gurjit, sorry.
I was going to say, I think the biggest thing, the question that I have for both of you really is, ਹਜੇ ਵੀ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ ਆ, like I'm not sitting here saying divorce is a better option. It's not. Sometimes your marriage is as happy as you're going to get it. What I want
Mm.
to understand is, because ਸਾਡੀ society ਨੇ change ਹੋਣਾ, and realize there are other options. There's support land, getting coaching for yourself as a woman. All of those options are there. They weren't there in my time. They weren't
No,
even in my
they weren't there.
radar. So maybe my marriage could have survived had I had that support and help.
Yeah.
Had I been
Yeah.
able to go and talk about it with somebody else and actually somebody say to me, hey, you're not yourself, have a look at this. And I
Yeah.
did, but it happened after I'd left my husband. And that was the saddest thing. I was like, why didn't somebody tell me about this before?
You would have
Right?
handled the whole relationship differently.
Yeah, because the guy was ਸਾਡੀ own ego ਰੱਖ ਲਓ, ਅਣਖ ਰੱਖ ਲਓ, personality ਅਸੀਂ ਵੀ ਇਨਸਾਨ ਆ, ਦੂਜੇ person ਵੀ ਇਨਸਾਨ ਆ, but this has become a generational thing,
Yes.
right? I was talking about it with somebody else, but ਜਦੋਂ ਜਾਣਾ ਕੋਈ ਗਲਤ ਕਰਦਾ, what do? We shout at them, we tell them off, we put our hand up at them. Maybe not so
Yes.
much now, but it's taken a long time for that to change, to realize you can now teach a child with love. But it's funny
Yes.
how we won't bring that into our relationships yet.
True, because a lot of
It's
people,
like,
they are just staying in unhealthy relationships and they're just arguing constantly. You can tell they're not happy. We all know people that are in these relationships, but they don't know how to take action or they don't know where to go for help. And this is the reason why I bring people like yourselves on, because there is help out there. You've just got to ask, you've just got to reach out, take action.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. It's about
Gosh,
doing
we
what's
could.
best for you. If you feel as if your relationship is not working out and it can be ironed out,
Yes.
then yeah, there is a lot of help out there. I remember the first thing that I did when I was unhappy, I went to my doctor and cried my heart out to my doctor because there was no one else that I could actually speak to.
Yes. Yeah.
And he directed me and he told me that there was help available. I can speak to a counselor. But I knew that wasn't the option for me because it wasn't just one person, it was a whole household that was set in their certain ways. And for me, with what happened with me, it was about, for me, it was about principle. I can't eat this, I can't eat this, or the daughter-in-law can, but the daughter can't, the daughter can,
Yeah.
but the daughter-in-law can't.
Double
It was double
standard.
standards for everything. Yeah. It wasn't
And
about we can sit and we can solve a misunderstanding.
no, and can
There is a lot of help out.
absolutely, and your hormones, being pregnant, must have been all over the place, and so young, and you'd only been married a few months anyway, so it was
Yeah,
all very new and too much to take on board, I suppose.
it was. I think it all happened so quick for me, like you said, and it was also new for me. But if I look back and now and I think, okay, maybe I could have, taken advice from an expert or had some counseling. When I look at the bigger picture, when I look back now, my ex is on his third marriage. So to me, I know that even that wouldn't have helped. It was just they're set in their way. And and I'm actually grateful today that I pulled myself out of that situation, and I've done something for myself, and I've carried on with my life.
Yes, absolutely. Ladies, we're almost out of time. Just a final quick tip from each of you, and then we'll do part 3 next week. So, Gurjit, any final words from you? Any
I would just
advice?
say this: just acknowledge where you're at, where your emotions are, and where you need to go and speak to someone. Because before you make a choice, and you may be in a challenging situation with abuse or with children, etc., or financially you may not feel that you're strong enough to do this, I promise you there will be some help out there. I'm aware of lots of people that are able to have been rehomed during the lockdown for a start. So if it can happen during lockdown, it can certainly happen now we're coming out of lockdown. So your situation is not permanent. It's not
Absolutely.
permanent, and you can change it.
Brilliant. Thank you, Sandie.
I think just following on from that, actually, yes, it's no situation, doesn't matter which situation you're in, it's never too late to make a change. That's what I want to say. It
Yes,
doesn't matter how far into a relationship you are, if you're not happy, you are the only person that can actually make a change and do something about it. Whether you've got
brilliant.
kids involved or whether you're worried about the community, firstly, I think it's very important to open up to your family, speak to your parents, speak to your brothers and sisters. And if you feel as if that they're not relating to you or they can't understand where you're coming from, then you need to get in touch with one of us, and we can direct you or put you in touch with somebody that
Yes,
can help. But what
brilliant.
I believe is it's never too late to make a change. It's all within your power and your control.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. And from me, we never know our strength. A woman is like a tea bag. You never know your strength until you're actually put into boiling water. So you'll be fine as long as you know your strength, and your happiness is most important. So if you're happy, you can make others happy. And when you're growing, others are going to grow with you. So look after yourself, and we'll be back with part 3 of this. Vaiguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaiguru Ji Ki Fateh. Thank you.